Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Tour du Monde. We're on stage 8, the final time slot 4, and we're in Washington, DC, USA. Tonight we're riding to the White House, which seems rather unusual, race to the White House. And this is not a political event, folks. This is a virtual race, and it's going to be an exciting one. We've already had 3 run-ins today. You can see the profile on screen. There's a couple of very small kickers, but generally the whole route is trending downhill right until you get to that final push to the line. It promises to be fast and furious. It's 38 kilometers. And let's have a look. I think we're looking at, the current leader in the house is Andrei Frolikov, who you might remember from the other day was also leading after the lunchtime slot. Well, Andrei has got a 53.46, but it was like a bunch sprint right to the end because Nick Giles TT'd it all the way, pulled the whole group along right up until 400 meters to the line, and then 4 riders managed to go past him, and they were Andre, Nick Hall, Niels, Bo Sondergaard and Sam Roberts, and then Nick came in 5th. But what a fantastic effort to time trial it off the front, and he came in with a 4.95 watt kilo as well. So an absolutely stunning effort. Wish I'd been able to record it. So it should make for an exciting race tonight, because I think we'll see that time eclipsed by at least a minute tonight, and that's no disrespect to Andre and the rest of the guys that did the lunchtime slot, but I just think with all the big hitters we've got riding tonight, they'll be drafting and pushing off, etc. And I do think we're going to see a 52-minute ride tonight, which is very fast for 38 kilometers. Now I'm a bit under the weather again, but I'll do my best to stop coughing during the event. But I might have to go and get the odd drink now and again. Race is just about to get underway. It's going to be fast, folks. You can see it's a downhill start, and it's going to be mad from the gun. If you're not holding on at the start in these kind of events, you're going to very, very quickly find yourself dropping back. As you can see, the riders up front, 60, 70 kilometers an hour. So, excuse me, not hanging about, and you can see the red numbers already. James Melville is highlighted at the moment, but yeah, we're going to be absolutely going silly here, and I don't think this pace is going to slow much over this first few kilometers until everybody starts to settle in. I also think we're looking at a very large group coming into the finish. Yes, we're going to get the main contenders, but it's so easy to draft when you're in such a large group like this. I mean, riders like Greg Barnett here jumping off the front are not going to go anywhere. I can safely say that I don't think we're going to see a solo rider going off the front. I think any rider doing so will be caught by the group, and this is going to come down to, I think, pretty much a bunch sprint at the end. But we'll see. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I don't know. There just doesn't look to be anything on the profile, and you can see it at the bottom of the screen. There doesn't look to be anything there that's going to split up, you know, the big hitters, and even some of the other riders are going to be able to hang on if they're in this big draft and save energy and basically get to near the finish anyway. We might see a small group towards the latter part of the race, and the kickers could have some impact. So in my commentary, I'll let you know when we're coming to the kickers, although you're better to see on the bottom of the screen. But that's the only time when I can see this big group breaking up. I do think we'll see a war of attrition here, and we'll see riders getting distanced off the back. You can clearly see Robbins struggling to stay with the group, and you've got to do so. You've got to get in and amongst the pack. Otherwise, you're not going to hang on very long when they're going at this pace. It's hard work. I've taken part in a few races with the Flemish race series that have gone off like this. Absolutely eyeballs out at the start, and you're gasping for breath just trying to hang on. And I'm sure a lot of these riders are doing the same. They'll be just trying to get into a position where they can draft rather than having to put in big efforts. Okay, so you can clearly see now we've got the pain caves up and running. We've got 9 riders in, so my call out for more riders to take part has shown fruit, as you can see, and that's a great. And I believe we've got more than the 9 applying as well, so there's probably a few that are not showing tonight, not on the books. But more about the riders in the pain rooms. You can clearly see the names yourself, so I don't need to call them all out. I don't know, have we seen Jep Snever in the pain room before? He might be a new one. Casper is a new one. He was asking me the other day, how do I do it? So I posted the link in the Facebook forums with an easy code to copy, a tiny URL. So here's Henrik, look, with his fast cadence. And what we'll do tonight is we will focus on each of the riders in the pain cave like this for short periods of time. I do apologise for the coughing. As I say, I'm a bit under the weather again. But yeah, I don't expect much to happen in this race, to be fair. Certainly for the first half, and even then, once the attrition has taken place and they've managed to shell a few of the riders, I still think we're looking at a very large group coming to the end. I think we had something like, hang on a sec, we had something like 200 sign-ups, and I think 155 in before the start, probably more than that in now, because that was a few minutes before the start. So a huge turnout, and we are getting really good turnouts for these races, so we're obviously doing something right. This should be a very interesting finish, because like I said in the last sprinter stage that we had, it could actually end up going to somebody outside the podium slots if the sprinters can stay with it. Haven't had a chance to see exactly who's here yet, because we've really got to I mean, the big hitters will be saving the powder. They won't be wanting, and you can clearly see that now. There's a few of the names in the top 10 here, but most of the big hitters will be staying in the pack and doing as little as possible. Like John Beams has just got into the top 10 now. Casper's just got into the top 10. Nick Greenhouse, well, he's a sprinter. He's going to be staying up near the front, and I don't think he's going to be struggling on this kind of a stage until near to the very end, and then Nick could well be in with a shout of taking the stage. He's a very good sprinter, so, and don't forget, Nick took the last sort of like stage that we had, power stage that we had. So he's definitely a contender, and he's still wearing the the blue jersey, as you can see. That's him over there on the left of the picture in the blue jersey and the red helmet. So that's the Sprinters jersey. John Beams, that's the first time we've seen him on the front. But although John will be keen to see this group break up, I don't think we're going to see him pushing it along on the front too much, because he'll be wanting to try and save as much as he can for the latter stages. And there's a long way to go yet. 32 kilometres still to ride. James Melville's taken over on the front, so yeah, they'll be trying to push the pace up, but I don't see that really having an effect to whittle the group down just yet. Yes, it will as we get further into the stage, because some of these riders won't be used to riding at this pace for for lengthy periods of time. And we've moved away from the front of the race, and we're now possibly, I don't know whether this is the second group on the road, I feel like it might be, and you can clearly see that up front we've got 83 riders. So this is 84 and backwards. So we've got 84 riders, folks, or 83 riders up the front, which is a huge group. And this is a chasing group with some good riders in here, but yeah, they've just been shelled because of the pace that the front group have been doing. Now there might be the odd, well in fact there is, you can see in front of this small group, you can see a lone rider. I was just about to say there might be the odd riders that got dropped off the pack that are riding in the middle, and in fact we can see two riders riding in the middle. So the front group, 81 riders, because 82 and 83 are just in front of this group, and they're actually gonna catch up with them, I feel. And they do well actually to ease up a little bit and join this group, rather than pushing on their own in the middle of the two groups. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, because you might as well get some recovery and then go later in the stage if you've got good legs. So pushing in the middle of the two groups on your own, these are just my thoughts and the way that I would approach it. I call out the tactics I would use. So there's a look at Casper. This is the first time we've seen him in the Zoom room, so thank you, Casper. It's nice to see you here, mate. Yeah, he's got the serious face on, look. And it looks like he's heavy breathing as well. Not, oh, he is now. I was just about to say it looks like he's sitting in because his watts weren't that high, but now we're seeing him pushing, yeah, just pushing into the red there. And when you see it going red with the smaller numbers, that means it's braking. So basically another rider is causing his avatar to brake, and often you see the red numbers like at low levels, like you're doing now. That's not because he's over threshold, that's because of the braking. I wish they'd choose a different colour actually, because it would make it a lot easier to see when riders are going over threshold, when we're just glancing at the leaderboards. So if you're listening, devs, there's a request from me, your commentator. Let's have a different colour for the braking other than the same as we get for when the riders are over threshold. Just makes it a bit easier as well. Take a look at Daniel, rocking and rolling as always, but he looks good. He looks comfortable at the moment. If you can be comfortable riding this kind of a stage. And you can see him on the road in the yellow and white jersey there, Daniel. Solid rider. Nice high cadence, 90 cadence, so yeah, it looks comfortable enough. Joris looks nice and comfortable as well. Again, he's got that rocking action. as a lot of riders develop. And then you get some riders that don't have much of a rock, and even though they're pushing very high cadence, I mean, look at Anders. Yeah, there's a bit of a rock there, but not as pronounced as some of the others. And Henrik is probably the most stable of them. As we're looking at Joris here, is this a threshold effort he's putting in, or is this braking again? I feel, yeah, I think this is a threshold effort when it gets to 471 watts, but I think. Here we go. So pushing near up the front, trying to push up the pace, folks, so that, you know, we can have, and he'll be working for his teammates, will Joris. They'll be trying to split this up. So Rassio will sort of like send riders up the road, try and split it up. Well, the majority of the teams, that might well be the tactic tonight. Get your riders to take turns pushing the pace along. But still a very, very large group here. And this is not sustainable. This has got to splinter. But we're 10 kilometers in, so just over a third of the distance. You can see Keith from OTR there in the middle, which is a sensible place to be. Stay in the middle, stay out of the wind. So we see Daniel once again pushing up the front. Is that Casper on the front as well? Yeah, that's Casper as well, up the front. Wendy Gallagher, that's Wendy Wonder Wheels. I think Wendy, in fact, I know Wendy rode earlier. I don't have a time to hand, but I do know that she rode in the earlier edition. And I think she's still leading the ladies' classification, but I'm not sure. Now this is Big Nick, and Nick, as you can see, slow cadence, or grinding as I call it. Just looking at the way that he gets out of this saddle here and still keeps a very low cadence, tells me he's in the big ring here and just pushing a huge gear, which is why his cadence is low, and when he gets out of the saddle he's trying to get over the top of the gear, so obviously his cadence slows down. But yeah, he's pushing a big gear here. Nick would probably have enjoyed riding the lunchtime slot along with the other Nick Giles. So the two of them together would probably have put in a stonking ride. I mean, Nick still did put in a stonking ride, but yeah, there might have been a chance to take the overall had they worked together. Maybe that's a thought for a later time. But in terms of commentating, folks, there's not an awful lot I can say here, other than we're not going to see a breakup for quite some time. We've still got more than 40 odd riders in that front group, and yeah, we're going to lose the odd one or two off the back, but we're going to see a huge group coming in towards the final kilometers, is my prediction. As we watch the Moon Riders, 2 Moon Riders and 1 OTR, Soderberg here, Daniel Shock. It's nice to see Tim Cook riding tonight. Haven't seen him for a while, so I don't know whether he's working for his team tonight or whether this is he's riding for himself. I'm surprised to see him so far back, so whether he's working for his teammates or not, I don't know. Wendy's just telling us 1:05 was my time, and yes, she's still leading the ladies. Well done, Wendy. I love it when people comment. So if you can get on the feed and the stream, please leave some comments and give us something to chat about in the commentary, because stages like this, as I say, there's no tactics really to call out. This is I won't say it's boring, but it's not the kind of stage where you're constantly calling out the different tactics on show, because there aren't any tactics on show. The aim of the game in this kind of a stage is to go balls out and see and hang on, and believe me, that's what the front riders are doing. They're just, you know, well, I won't say balls out, they're just timing their efforts off the front of the group. Certainly the big hitters are. I don't believe that the likes of John and this lot, John Beams, are giving it absolutely everything. I think they'll be quite happy to sit with the group and see how it plays out, and then towards the latter half of the stage maybe think about trying to get a group of 4 to 8 riders up the road, and that might be difficult to do if we're still 40 riders strong off the front. As we look at Yep, and that, as I say, I'm not sure whether we've had Yep in. I think we have, because I think I recognise the tools in the background, so I'm pretty sure we've had Yep in the pain room before. In fact, yes, I know we have. Now, Anders Jonsson, he's got a screen behind him there. That's generally, I think it's meant to be a green screen, which means that if he had his camera in front of him, showing him riding on the bike, he could basically put a virtual background, providing he lights it correctly. He could basically do a virtual background and put his avatar in the bottom corner of a feed if he wanted to do a live stream. I used to use that system. I used to use the green screen type of thing, but now I don't know. I just like to have a natural background. So I've got a curtain with an image of a forest on it, which I really like. And when I'm in my studio, I use that as the background image, and it's just a much crisper image than trying to green screen. Just a bit of nonsense information for you there, folks. Anybody that's considering streaming. I mean, Damon's the streaming guru if you need any help to set up. Although I'm quite experienced now. There you go. We get a better look at Anders' look. And as I say, that behind him is generally used to add a false background, or isolate him from the background. Nice high cadence from Anders, as you can see, 85. So yeah, decent. Especially you can see it's round about the 90 mark, 91 mark. Yeah. Very low heart rate, so I suspect. And I've had a lot of folks, and I've actually gone onto the forums to check this out, and it seems that a lot of folks are complaining that the heart rate data on RGT, particularly if you're using a Bluetooth, doesn't seem to be so much of a problem with the Ant Plus, but with Bluetooth heart rate monitors, we're getting all kinds of silly readings, and the 72 there was definitely not right, because there's no way that he's 72. He's more like 164, like we're seeing Paul Newton here. I mean, that's reading correctly. And it would be interesting, maybe I'll run a poll sometime and find out who's using Ant Plus and who's using Bluetooth, and how many of the riders in the poll have experienced difficulties with their heart rate monitors. 185 starters, 225 in total. What a fantastic... I think that's a record, isn't it, James, for this tour this year? I think we had close to that earlier, but I'm pretty sure that's a record. Now, a little bit of excitement here. We've got Daniel Neugebauer going off the front. He's got 25 meters, but I say a little bit of excitement. This is not going anywhere. I already previously said that anybody going off the front would not be allowed to get away, and I can assure you, look at his heart rate. His heart rate is rising, so he's putting in an effort here. 91 cadence. You can see his heart rate, but he's not going anywhere. In fact, we can clearly see the group closing in on him here. He's got, what, 12 meters now. So he's going to get swallowed up, and anybody else going off the front is going to get swallowed up. We may get a break, as I said earlier, we may get a break of 4 to 8 riders a bit later on in the stage. There's a bit of a kicker coming up. You can just see it now at about the 2/3 mark, the little bit of orange. The route goes slightly uphill. It's a little bit of a kicker, but the majority of these riders, if not all of these riders, will simply stomp over that in the big ring. I don't see it slowing them down. Here we've got Casper. He's doing a big watts look. He's putting out big watts here, doing a push off the front. Fast cadence. It's showing a really fast cadence. Got 112 there. Cadence is all over the place actually, so don't know what's going off there, but yeah. Trying to push off the front, but once again, they're definitely not going to let Casper go, not at this stage. Now he may well break away towards the, like I say, on that kicker. That's where I would have thought, if anybody's going to try a push, that would be the place where I would go for the push, but then the riders are going to expect it. So they've got this graphic on their screens as well, folks. So they know when it's coming up. They'll know, you know, if they're approaching it. But have we seen a small break here? I don't think we have. I think we've still got all the group together. Or have we? Have we managed? No, we've got all the groups. Yeah, you can still see we've got 40 odd riders in this group. Nobody's getting away. James Melville has just pushed off the front, and he's very, very quickly got a 12-meter gap, but they'll close him down in no time. And I hope you don't find me commentary when I'm saying this, folks, boring, because all I can do here is tell you what's going to happen, what I think is going to happen. And you can see that, you know, it's not a case of I told you so. It's a case of, it's just the classic tactics for this kind of a stage. Riders pushing off the front, trying to raise the pace, hoping to get the odd 1 or 2 riders go with them, and then hoping to make a break. Now, it may well happen, as I say, a bit later in the stage. You know, we may get some of the stronger riders. One will push off the front, another will join him, and they'll say, "Wait, we've got 20 meters. Let's hit it," and they'll hit the gas, and that 20 meters could go out to 30 meters. That would be a valid tactic, but when the group is this big and this strong, I'm not so sure it's going to work. And I think we could see a huge group coming towards the finish. But I'll call it as I see it as we go further into the race. Now we're looking at, these are effectively the second group on the road. Although we do have riders in between, this is effectively the second group with Soderberg pulling them along. We've got Phillips from Rasio there, and you can read the names yourself. There's some good riders in amongst this group. But they've been dropped, and that yellow banner you just saw them going under, that was the halfway stage for those riders. The leaders are just over the halfway point. They've done they've done almost 20 kilometers, so they've 18 kilometers left to ride. And still, as you can see, now Boniface, I haven't seen this lad for a while, but this rider is a class act. I know him from over on Swift. And if it's the same rider, and I'm convinced it is, then a very, very strong rider, and somebody to be reckoned with if he's amongst the front riders in this group. Brett, that's his name. I couldn't quite remember, but yes, Brett Boniface, class rider, folks. So mark my words, he will be there or thereabouts at the finish. I think this is the first time I've seen him in this tour. I'm not sure whether it's the first time he's ridden, but it's the first time I can remember calling him out, because, like I say, I would have called him out because I know him from Swift. I watched him race a lot of races on Swift. But Swift is a completely different racing dynamic to RGT. I liken Swift to a game. I mean, and some of the Swift folks will criticise me for saying that, but Swift is not realistic enough for my liking. And certainly in terms of riders over the line, you can win a race on Swift and be like 12th over the line, not even first over the line, and you can win the race because the race is determined on the time, not on, on the time over the line, and not on the graphics showing on screen, which is absolute nonsense. Whereas here, we announce the virtual winner immediately, and the rider you see going over the line, because this racing is server based, is the rider that wins the race. So yeah, Broim we've seen quite a few times. Another good rider. Now who's that that's just shot off the front? Michael. And quickly got a gap. But like I say, he's not, in fact he's giving me a wave and sitting up. He's not going anywhere. There you go. Basically, I think what these riders are doing are just trying to up the average pace. Keep the pace high. They're currently doing, like you can see, 50 odd kilometers an hour. Excuse me as we highlight Michael. Now the red you saw there was him, was the braking dynamic. And as I say, Debs, if you're listening, get that changed. Make it a different colour so that it can stand out but not be confused with going into the red in terms of a above threshold effort. There's Nick, look, nicely tucked in 12th place. Sensible riding from Nick. Greg Barnett doing another pull off the front with his teammate here. Holtz is his teammate, and Greg's a solid rider as well. He'll be trying to lift the pace. Paul Newton, the Team 3R rider, also trying to raise the pace. And there's another OTR rider shooting through. Tim Cook, in fact. No, sorry, we're looking further back. I apologise. I did wonder because Tim was quite a way behind earlier on. As we're watching Mike Aid here. But the riders up the front of the race are just about to approach that kicker. So I don't know if we can switch back to the front now, but I would like to do so because I think this could be the point where, yeah, thanks Damon. This could be the point where if somebody's going to really hammer and have a go, this will be where they do it. You can see the slope is 2.2, 3.2, and it goes up a little bit steeper. Not much. There we go, 3 point, I think it's just about, yeah, 4.2, there you go. A little bit more. So, but it's not very steep. 6.9 at its steepest. Now it's going to drop back down. So yeah, it's just a little kicker, look. Now, has it split them up? I think I have to say it hasn't. So Brett's on the front, one of the stronger riders, but it hasn't split them up. There's a few riders. You can see Gary's got is 30 meters behind the front, but they're strung out, and that's going to lend a hand for riders to come back. So riders that are off the back here should be able to, I mean, there's a small gap you can see there between the two groups. Now, they need to close that up, and they need to close it up fast. They cannot allow even a 10-meter gap, because it could end up being stretched. So the group, as you can see, slightly behind. I think they are going to close this. So once again, I'm sorry to say I told you so, folks, but I did say that this would be a large group coming into the finish, and so it is proving to do so. They have managed to whittle a few off the back. I think you can clearly see now the riders behind the main group. We're down from 40 odd now, I think, to 30 odd, or maybe even 20 odd. So yes, they've shelled a few from the group, but we're still looking at a big group coming to the finish. Now here you can see we've got Kurt Pedersen and his teammate Greg Barnett pushing the not his teammate, this is his teammate Casper. They're pushing off the front, trying to get 3 or 4 or 5 or more riders away, trying to break this up, and they really are trying here, folks, to break it up, but it's not happening because the group behind, being so large, are just drafting and working well through and off and staying in touch, and it's amazingly difficult to try and break away from a group when they're going at this kind of speed and working so well, you know, through and off like they're doing here. They're all, well, I'm saying all, the majority are taking turns, as you can see. You can see them get out of the saddle, push the pedals around, pushing the pace up. And it looks like the majority of them are taking an equal turn as well to do that. They might not be pushing off the front, but you could see, as you saw the pink rider there, they're basically lifting the pace and pushing, lifting the pace and pushing. And that's having the effect of keeping the pace high. And they're going to lose a few more riders. There's going to be a few more riders not going to be able to sustain this. But we're still looking at a very large group. Now the guys in the pain room, like I said, this tonight, this event, we're going to see you blowing as it comes in towards the finish. But let's hope we get as many riders for the Queen stage coming up in the pain room, because there we're really going to see this kind of suffering when we get to the big hills. Not so much suffering tonight, I feel, because many of the riders will be taking advantage of the drafting here. I mean, you've seen riders like Daniel and Casper trying to make a bit of a break, but I don't see it happening. I really don't. Okay, so because there's not an awful lot happening, we've got the prize giveaway up on screen. And what this is, folks, is this is your chance to win £100 for doing nothing more than taking part in one stage. I'm going to ride tomorrow's stage, so that's going to be my stage to take part in this prize giveaway and get myself entered in the draw. And that's all you have to do, ride any stage. If you've already ridden one, then you're already in the draw. But if you haven't, get signed up to a stage before it finishes this weekend, and you'll be randomly put into the random draw, which will be drawn by Keith Aitchison and his magic spinning wheel immediately after the final stage. Well, I'm saying immediately after the final stage. So it's a prize worth having. I wouldn't turn down £100 in my back pocket. So consider signing up if you haven't already done so. Join me, because I'm going to be riding pretty much at the back, I think, tomorrow. I'm just going to be spinning the pedals. I'm not well enough to race, so I'm going to be riding near the back tomorrow, and please feel free to join me. It'll be a nice leisurely roll around the course, and we'll have a look at what the course is going to be a bit later on. We'll pull it up, no doubt, as we're seeing the riders coming after they've finished. Okay, so we're looking a bit further back down the field here at the OTR rider, but the riders are well, and there's Tim and his mate Murtau. The riders are well strung out, and this could be Tim's job tonight, just helping out his teammates. I don't think he's pushing for glory tonight, but he is more than well capable of being up amongst that front group. So I suspect that he wasn't really interested in doing so. Mike Weston. So as you can see, still a very large group up the front. Nothing much has changed, nobody's broken away, and the last chance really for somebody to kick is on that final kicker. You can just see right in that last kilometre you've got that slight uphill, and then you get onto the top, and then it's a bit of a plateau to the finish. That's going to be the last opportunity, I feel, for the riders to kick if they haven't done so beforehand. I still think we're going to see a couple of the riders up in that front group trying to break it up. I'm not sure whether it will work or not. We'll have to wait and see. As we watch Kevin Pedersen pulling off the front. I mean, we've seen some excellent teamwork over the course of this tour. Tonight, teamwork really won't play a big part in this race, because of this, everybody's wanting to do, help out with the through and off, and everybody's sort of like coming, doing a turn, pushing the pace along. It's Kurt Pedersen, yeah. Sorry, not Kevin. And you can see they're just settled in. I mean, this Edge is a really good and strong rider. I think he's doing a little bit too much work to my liking off the front. Could end up paying for this as we come a bit closer into the finish. But if he's got good legs, good luck to the lad. But yeah, you can see he's going to be swamped a little bit now, and he needs to sit in. Just wants to get a good position, sit in, get that energy back that he's just. But there he is, you see, pushing back to the front. Now, I'm not so sure this is a clever thing to be doing, but maybe he's trying to push the pace up for somebody else in the group, because this is not going anywhere. And yeah, he's got himself a nice gap, but he's not going to get away from that fast chasing group. And watch him try and prove me wrong. He's probably listening and thinking, I'm going to prove you wrong tonight, Derek. But no, I still maintain, I don't think this is going anywhere. Even, I think he's got 30 metres now, but I still say it's not going anywhere. As we watch further back in the field, riders lower down. There you are, you see they've caught him up. They're never going to let him go. And I'm surprised actually at Kristin doing that. And we call that burning a match, folks. And my guess is he may well end up paying for that as we're coming into the finish. Now, I think Pedersen here may well be working. There's Brett Boniface, the rider I told you about. But Pedersen may well be working for Casper here. Could be some kind of a team tactic, so I don't know. We're on the slightly downhill section now, so it's pretty fast. I don't know, James. I'm very reluctant to call this tonight because I genuinely think this is just going to be a balls out sprint at the end. I don't think it's going to be a lead out. I think it's just going to be balls out, with the guys. And I think it's going to be another one where I'm going to struggle as a commentator to see who goes over the line first. I think this is going to be dead tight. I think this is going to be hundredths of a second like we had on the last sprinters stage I commentated on. I mean, that slight kicker at the end, if you remember, the last sprinter stage was almost identical and it didn't seem to make a lot of difference because it's too short and it's too near to the finish. I don't know. I'm not calling this. I'm definitely not going to call it because any one of the main sprinters could take this stage, and I think Brett Boniface will be there and there because I do know he's a very strong rider if they take him to the finish. And this is the first time I've seen him out and about, and he's got pedigree. So we shall see. That could be a tactic as well, Wendy. And to be fair, if you finish in this main group, what are you going to lose? You're not going to. We saw the other day when I covered the other sprinter stage, the top 30 were within 1 second of each other. So you can afford to sit in the group and you're not going to lose time. I mean, the likes of John Beams are going to want to push for the stage, aren't they? And Nick Greenhouse certainly, because he's got the jersey. But there's no need for them to do so. They don't have to. They can quite happily sit in this group. And my guess is there'll be almost no seconds between the first and last in this group. I think we're looking at another stage where it's microseconds. I hope I'm wrong because, it would be nice to see a lead-out train. It would be nice to see something different, but I just don't see it. I've covered too many of these kind of stages and they're almost all finished the same. On Swift, it's even worse because you get the sticky draft and nobody's got the opportunity to jump off the front. At least here on RGT, if you put in an above threshold effort, you do get a gap. You can see John is I won't say he's comfortable, but that's definitely not. I mean, did you see the stage I recorded the other day where he was absolutely gasping for breath, couldn't get the air in, and he had to sit up. I mean, he was on the downhill, so he sat up and was breathing heavy. He's not looking in that kind of discomfort here, so I suggest that he's comfortable. If you can be comfortable racing in this type of a race. But yeah, John looks comfortable. Daniel even looks comfortable. And his heart rate suggests he is, because don't forget, earlier in the race, his heart rate was up in the 165, 166. So Daniel's comfortable as well. And this is why I love heart rate when it's working, because it does give you a good indication of when the riders are putting in, stronger efforts. And John Beams is on the front now, but like I say, there's no real need, and he doesn't look uncomfortable. There's Daniel as well. Daniel doesn't look uncomfortable, and Daniel was off the front. So yeah. In fact, I would say that, and Henrik just looks cool as a cucumber. I would say these riders are waiting for this little kick that's coming up now, and then maybe somebody will have a shot. 2.5 kilometers to go for the leader. Yeah, no time gaps, you see, even further back. So, and that's the sad thing about stages like this. The sprinters don't gain any time back because it's microseconds. So a sprinter's never going to win the tour, that's for sure. Not that you'd expect them to, but then, you know, the power riders may well have a shot, but the sprinters are never going to win this kind of a tour because all the points are gained in the mountains. Now, is that Henrik on the front? Is that Henrik Mard on the front? I think it is. So Henrik will have a go here. He stayed quiet. Henrik has done very little work off the front of the group. So and there's Schaefer's in front of him. But this is where they're going to push now. 1.8 to go. There's Henrik out of the saddle, having a bit of a dig. But you can see from his heart rate, he hasn't opened himself up yet. I mean, if we stay with him and he opens up his legs, you'll see his heart rate will, here he goes, look. So his heart rate will now start to climb if he's going to have a dig. Peter Brook-Ravel. Now that's the first we've heard of Peter tonight. So, you know, riders have been canny tonight. They've stayed in. And there's Brett Boniface. Now what did I tell you, folks? And Brett, this is classic Brett. What he tends to do is he tends to see if he can get a long one, and if he gets caught, he'll sit on a wheel and then he'll take the sprint. So this is classic Brett. I've watched him do this on Swift a lot of times. He goes for the long one. If he can maintain the gap, he will. And if he can't maintain the gap, he'll grab somebody's wheel and then kick in the sprint. But he may well take this. Like I say, this is exciting because this is classic Boniface. I've seen him do this so many times on Swift. And I did call him earlier on tonight. I did say that he was definitely, in my mind, the main contender for the win. And he's got it. They're not going to catch him now. So basically these riders are fighting for second place because Boniface has got 70 odd metres. Yes, he's still got 400 metres to go. Possibility the sprinters could catch him, but he's got a hell of a kick on him. He's in the red at the moment. Are they going to catch him? I don't think they will. No, they're not. You can see the banner there. Boniface is going to go over. Yes, they are catching him, but he's going to get there. So I called the winner again, folks. What a tour I'm having. There's the winner, Boniface. Broim got second, Samuk third, Neugebauer fourth, Linden fifth, then Hartveld. But you can see, I genuinely believe Wendy Gallagher could well have called this correctly. I think a lot of the riders weren't really, I won't say weren't bothered, but you know, I don't think they gave absolutely 110% tonight because they've got those mountains coming up. And I think they're going to want to battle it out when time matters and not waste efforts on, I'm saying waste, it's never a waste, but not use efforts overly much on this kind of a course. Wow, I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty stoked that I've called the winner once again. I mean, I did say I wasn't going to call a winner, but I did earlier on in the race. I said, "Oh, Boniface is in the leading group at the end, then he'll probably take the win," because I know him. I just know his tactics. Anyway, well done. It's not bad when you can come across and take a win in your first stage. I think it's the first stage that he's ridden of this tour. As we watch Tony Simmons just go over into the line here, and we're watching the other riders coming in. So now you've got top 30 on screen, folks, and you can see the likes of Greg Barnett, Casper, Kristen Edge, you know, are all way down in the 20s, but look at the time gap. You know, absolutely nothing really. A couple of seconds, 3 seconds. Yeah, which is absolutely nothing. I mean, is it 3 seconds or is it even less? Yeah, I think it's about 3 seconds. So yeah, John lost to 1.9 seconds. So John lost 1.9, Casper lost 3.7. So yeah, you're only talking a couple of seconds, and that can be made up so quickly and so easily in the hills and mountains that a stage like this doesn't really have a bearing on the overall. Now, one thing I didn't do was, where did Nick finish? Nick Greenhalgh, he finished 11th, losing 1.8, but who finished in front of him? None of the other than Daniel and Samut, none of the other sprinters really have taken time out of, because 1.3 for Daniel, 1.2. Yeah, none of the other riders have really taken any time. 0.6 of a second out of, at most, out of Nick Greenhalgh. So as we see Keith from OTR on the road coming in. So yeah, Nick is hanging on to his blue jersey. Of that there's no doubt. He won't have been worried. Brett may well have caught them by surprise with his long one. If they'd been listening to my commentary, then they'd know that he was the man to watch. But because he's a new rider to the tour, they may well have not even considered him. I don't know, unless of course they know him like I know him. But yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I say I have a lot of experience when it comes to virtual racing, e-racing, because not only from my time over on Swift, but just overall, I've been involved for a long time now on the virtual cycling scene, and I've been involved in the real life scene for more years than I care to tell you, but certainly 5 decades. So I don't think we'll be hanging around too much longer for all the riders coming in. But we have got a large number. We've, like I say, we had 185 riders in this race. 225 signed up, 185 were on the start line. And I'm pretty sure that might be a record. But fantastic numbers. I mean, this tour is just going from strength to strength. And we've still got the, I won't say the best, but we've still got the Queen stage to come. That's Mount Fuji, I believe. We've got another stage tomorrow night, Wednesday. Then another stage on Thursday. Then we get the rest day Friday. And then we've got Saturday and Sunday. One of them's a mountain and one of them's a hilly stage. So it's going to be a tough weekend for the riders. They're going to certainly look forward to the rest day. And we'll pull up on screen and show you tomorrow's profile. Yeah, Nick Giles rode it on rollers, folks. Not only did he time trial it all the way, but he rode it on rollers. and he came out with a 4.95 watt kilo effort at the end of it, so he wasn't holding back, and he managed to hold that for like 53 minutes. Pretty impressive. Let's watch Morgan just finishing in front of the Moon Riders. So a lot of riders coming in now, but we've got a lot more to come in. You can clearly see here, but I don't think we're that far behind. I think we'll be able to stay with the action and watch every rider coming in. On this kind of a stage, we shouldn't be looking at a great deal of time between before the last rider comes in. It's a pretty fast course, but amazing. I was way out in, while I called the winner, I was way out in my prediction for the winning time, because I thought it would be a 52. Yeah, I tend to have had it in the back of my mind that it might be faster because of all the big hitters going, but a 50-minute time is just incredible. Very impressive. I mean, that's a high average speed for 38 kilometers. But that's what happens when you get riders pushing the pace, as we saw. Almost every rider in that large group was pushing the pace along, taking a turn, doing a spin through to the front, pulling it along. And so your average pace does tend to be high on these kind of courses. I like these kind of events, but from a commentating point of view, they're a little, for me, they're a little bit of an anticlimax, because you almost know what's going to happen. You know that it's going to be, a large group all coming into the finish, and then it's going to be either one rider has a solo breakaway in the last few meters, or it's a bunch sprint. And that's exactly what happened. And it's not a case of I told you so, it's just what happens in these kind of stages. And one of the reasons why I enjoy the mountains and the hills more. Peter Austin had a connection failure. Domestic duties for Peter tomorrow. So unlucky, Peter. I'm sorry to hear that, mate. But you're not alone. I can name a few riders, Robin Anderson for another. But yeah, there's a good few riders had issues, had dropouts, had failures. So you're not on your own. Let's watch two more of my teammates coming over the line, and Caroline and Holly Larson. So getting towards the back end of the field now. What are we in? We're in the 140s, mid 140s. So I'm not sure how many we've got left on the road. It's saying 23, but how many of those are still at the finish? It is great, folks, when you hang around and watch the riders coming in with us. We do appreciate it if you hang around after you've finished the event. And those that are watching, it's nice of you to hang around as well. Don't forget to hit the like button for Damon. And don't forget also, you can catch my stream tomorrow night, so you can go along to my YouTube channel, and I'll be recording and riding in tomorrow night's stage. Well, either tomorrow night or for just thinking about it, I'm doing a ZMS broadcast Thursday lunchtime, so I would actually be free Thursday evening. So I might have a look at Thursday's course as well and see which is the better, Wednesdays or Thursdays. Now there's a thought, I never thought about that. So yes, I could well be riding either tomorrow evening or Thursday evening. But that would mean doubling up on Thursday, doing commentary at the lunchtime slot and then doing recording and covering it in the evening. We'll see. And then at the weekend, we're covering, we being ZMS, are covering the lunchtime slots for both Saturday and Sunday. And what will probably happen is, if we get a lot of riders going in the evening slots, I will probably record and cover the evening slots as well on my YouTube channel. So we'll see. I mean, I do have to spend some time with my family. But I'm quite excited to see the end of the tour, and if some of the big hitters go in the evening session rather than in the daytime session, I may well stop and record it. But it would be nice if all the main contenders ride the lunchtime sessions on Saturday and Sunday, and then we're going to get, we're going to know the winners then. Okay, so at the very most, we've got Husen here with the last rider on the road, the Lantern Rouge as we call them, and we've just 7 kilometres left to ride. Now I don't know how long it's going to take to cover that 7 kilometres, but I assume that myself and Damon are going to hang around and wait for him to come in. Unless Damon's got somewhere to go, we will hang around for the rider to come in. So probably about another 14-15 minutes, folks. I know on my own streams there's been a couple of times this week, well, I'm saying this week, last week, because we're on Monday, aren't we? There was a couple of times last week where I was doing the commentary and I had to dash away. Yeah, Damon's just confirming with me we're happy to watch every rider coming in, and we will do so. But sadly, during my own streams last week, I had to dash away on 2 occasions, and that's purely and simply, folks, because I was doing 2 broadcasts. I was doing the ZMS broadcast and I was doing my own broadcast later in the day, and I did have to spend some time, as I say, with my own family. So if I do dash away and not finish watching all the riders come in, that's generally the reason why, because I'm having to spend some time. And sometimes it can be just as simple as wanting to get something to eat before I'm busy again. Okay, what we're going to do now is while we're waiting for these riders coming in, let's see what we got. Yeah, we're going to pull up the map, I think, and show you tomorrow's stage. So here we go. Tomorrow, Dover to Calais. So we actually get to ride through the tunnel, or the channel as it's called. So this is the flat section, and this is going to be absolutely pan flat, folks. There's going to be no we start off at altitude, we drop down to the channel, and you can see the marker here. We come out the other end of the channel and then we climb, and it's a bit of a climb. That'll definitely hurt. So there's that bit of a climb at the end. I mean, there's only 292 meters of ascent in this stage, but it is a long one at 53 kilometers, and that might be a bit too much for me tomorrow night, so I might do Thursday. I'm not sure. I'll need to have a look and see what Thursdays is. So this looks like an exciting stage. I think it's going to be one for the power riders. It's definitely not a sprinter stage. I think it's going to be more one for the power riders, to watch Stephen Elliott on the road coming into the finish. with one of my teammates. Yeah, but 53 kilometres, that's going to be a good outing for most folks. And yes, it's flat and fast once we get into the tunnel. There's that downhill section to get to the tunnel, so that's going to be fast as well. It could end up being a pretty fast affair again, but I think it's going to suit the power riders as opposed to the out and out sprinters. But I still think you're going to see a large group. As we watch go, Nicky trying to take my colleague Mr. Elliott on the line, and I think he's going to do so. He's putting in an above threshold effort here to cross the line, and there he goes. And there's Stephen. Kozlowski. Coming into the finish, nice low heart rate. I think this is Tony van der Berg. Going under the Flamme Rouge. And there's Husen on the road, and he's just got 5 kilometres. Yeah, the start of tomorrow's stage is absolutely brutal, so it must be uphill. It must be an uphill start. So yeah, like I say, it's probably one for the power riders, because the power riders will probably push really maximum effort up the start, and then they'll take recovery on that downhill, and then once they're in the tunnel, they'll just go hell for leather. That's my take. I don't know. I'm going to be having a look at it, whether I ride it or not. I certainly probably going to be streaming it. We'll see. Damon's given me my work for this week, which is Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. So I'm covering the lunchtime slot on Thursday in commentary for ZMS, and then Saturday and Sunday the lunchtime slots for ZMS. And then on top of those three, I have my own streams, which will amount to a couple. So basically, we're going to be covering everything, I think. Yeah. Friday's a rest day, don't forget. And I think the riders will be ready for a rest day prior to the weekend, because the Queen stage is absolutely brutal. 2,000 meters of climbing. Yeah, if you can run yeah, Damon's just telling me that the full 12 stages of one time slot will be on ESTV, so you can see the full show on Esports television. It's turning into a very exciting stage, not stage, tour, with what we've got to come, because it's not over by any means. In fact, it's far from over, and I genuinely think we're going to see positions swapping around as Damon brings the teams up on screen for you. And that's another competition which has been going extremely well, the team competition. OTR are by far and away the overall team with the most members. I think we've got 6 in this, then we'll count, that's 3. That's 3 so far. I think we've got 6 teams in this. That's 4. There's Wendy, look. Wendy Wonder Wheels. There's 5. So is it 5 or is it 6? There's Holly Larson in that team. No, it's 5. So OTR have got 5 individual teams in this event. As we'll look at the Moon Riders. I think they've just got the one team. And you've got Pokemotion. I think they've just got the one team in it. Obviously you've got Rasio Racing. I think they've got two. I could be wrong, but I think they've got two teams in it. You've got Team 3R. Well, I can't name all the teams, but yeah, obviously you can have a look at the team competition in the forums, but it's been a very, very good competition. And again, that could all switch around in the next few days with these hilly stages we've got and the mountain stage. Okay, it looks like Costa has stopped over at the side of the road, so it doesn't look like Costa is continuing. Yeah, it does look like Husen is the last one moving, Damon, I agree with you. And it looks like he's got 2 kilometres, sorry, 3 kilometres left. So we're not going to be, yeah, 2.5. We're not going to be that long, folks. It's been great to have you with us tonight. It's been an enjoyable stage, but a little bit of an anticlimax because obviously we knew the kind of stage it was going to be, in terms of it was always going to stay together. And but a good win by Brett Boniface, I'll say once again. I called him out when I saw him in the lineup and said he was a rider to watch because of the tactics he uses. He tends to sit in. You know, we never really called him much during the race because he's got enough sense to stay off the front, save his powder, and then he generally tries to go for a long one. If the long one doesn't work, then he'll grab a wheel and sit on a wheel, and then he's got a heck of a kick when it comes to sprinting. So, but he pulled it off. He pulled off the long one tonight. He went with about a kilometre, 1400 metres to go, and was never seen again. So yeah, good tactics by Brett, a good win. And the rest of them, to be honest, Wendy said in comment tonight that perhaps some of the riders weren't giving it 100%, and I tend to agree with her, because when you look at the results right down to 30th place, you're only looking at riders losing a maximum of 3 seconds, and that's nothing, absolutely nothing. I mean, even now, look, down to 61st place, plus 3.26. So, you know, riders have lost absolutely no time, really. Sorry, 3 minutes 26. Have lost no time, really, tonight, all the main contenders. And on this kind of stage, they're never going to do so. You're never going to see more than a few seconds separating the better riders, which is why we saw so many coming into the finish together. Hugo. Well done, Hugo, for sticking with it, mate. I think that's the Argentinian flag, isn't it? One of my friends has spent Christmas home in Argentina, and he's back now, so one of my climbing partners. Need to get in touch with him. So we're going to wrap up once Husen comes in. We'll run the map for tomorrow once again for you, unless Damon wants to run it now, and then we can wrap it up as... In fact, yeah, do that now, Damon, if you're listening. Run the map again. Here we go, folks. So, like you can see, as James Ogilvie said, steep uphill to start, so a brutal start, Then you get onto that bit of up and down, and then you drop down that steep downhill to the channel. And here you can see the reason it's blue on the map is we're actually inside the channel here, the Channel Tunnel. And then you reach the shores of Dover, Calais. So you reach the shores of Calais and then you climb up into Calais. Pretty strange stage, I have to say, and I think at 54 kilometers I think you might see a few power riders breaking away on this one. I really do. I don't think it's going to come down to a bunch like tonight. I think we're going to see a definite break, and you're definitely going to see time gaps. So riders are going to have to, our main contenders are going to have to keep an eye on tomorrow's stage competitors, because I think we're going to see time gaps and breaks. And it could be one for team tactics as well. It could be the kind of stage that will work well for team tactics. Interesting. Anyway, we've got 500, just over 500 meters for Hugo here to finish us off, and then we're going to wrap it up almost immediately, folks. So I'm going to say good night now. Obviously I'll stay with him till he gets over the line. I'm going to say good night and thanks for watching. It's been enjoyable, I have to say, and I will be back again on Thursday, but you may well hear from me tomorrow as well. So check out my YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. Give me a like and a subscription if you're not subscribed. And all that remains to do now is to watch this final 250 meters. Hugo coming into the line, and say good night and thank you. Stay safe everybody, and we'll see you back with ZMS on Thursday. Good ride, Hugo. Well done, mate. There you go. There's the line. And that's a wrap, folks. Good night and thank you.